This episode of Earl Grey is brought to you by Audible.com, offering more than 180,000 titles for smartphone, tablet, and desktop. To get a free audiobook of your choice and help Trek FM at the same time, visit audibletrial.com/trekfm. And also by Enterprise in Space, an international program of the nonprofit National Space Society. Find out how you can help science and education and become a virtual crew member aboard the NSS Enterprise Orbiter by visiting enterpriseinspace.org.
You're listening to Trek FM.
Tea, Earl Grey, hot.
Welcome, listeners, to another cup of Earl Grey, Trek FM's dedicated podcast to the next generation. I'm your host, Amy Nelson, and joined with me today are Justin Ozer and Richard Marquez. Justin, how are you doing?
I'm doing great today. Wow, we've made it into July. Can you believe that?
I know. It's summer's here, definitely.
Although for the listeners, they've already heard an episode in July, but for us as we record, it's July 1st.
Yes, it is. And Richard, how about yourself? Climbing any mountains recently?
Yes, I climbed Mount Bierstadt yesterday, actually. So it was a lot of fun, and yeah, it was the view was great.
Awesome.
I'm impressed what you're doing.
I know. Seriously. That's awesome.
I got like 87 more to go, so yeah. Yeah.
Oh, there's only a few mountains in Colorado.
Yeah, I know, right?
All right. Well, let's get to some feedback from our listeners. We had our episode about Kalar. That's Earl Grey 233. Justin, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, so Wes Huntington says, great discussion about this much beloved character, even though she was in only 2 episodes. She could have reappeared on Deep Space Nine as her mirror universe counterpart. Golden opportunity missed with that character. Since the Klingons rule supreme in the time of Deep Space Nine in the mirror universe, that would have made a fascinating character. Any parallel universe story in TNG or DS9 would have brought ample opportunities for a reappearance of Kalar. Thank you for that comment, Wes. And that's a great idea. I hadn't thought about that. Mirror Kalar. Why not?
Exactly. Yeah. Like he says, any parallel universe, bring her back. She was awesome.
K-Fix said, when I got my first 4 chickens almost 2 years ago, I realized quickly that they seem to have a lot in common with Klingons. I therefore named my alpha, is it Grilka?
Grilka.
Yeah. But my prettiest hen was named Kalar. You know, you guys have been, like, my feed has been, like, blown up by that whole entire conversation about chickens and everything.
I know. We went back and forth about chicken names, didn't we?
Yeah, you did.
We've got Christopher Lutz, who was posting pictures, too, and has chickens himself, and great name suggestions. And Kay has a chicken named Deanna for Troy, so that's awesome, too. And Johnson Lay says, thanks for the discussion. While Kalar's death might have been born out of dramatic necessity, it occurred to me that it was especially upsetting because we could see so much potential in her as a character. Whenever I hear about someone killed in a crime, it saddens me to think of all that person could have been. Very true. The potential that is lost there hits home.
Yeah, absolutely. And we did talk a lot about the potential of Kalar, didn't we? What might have been.
Mm-hmm.
So, listeners, we did get a wonderful email from Jeff Stone. Justin, why don't you read that for us?
Yeah, this is from Jeff Stone. He says Kansas City. Not sure whether that's Kansas City, Kansas, or Missouri. He might have to tell us, but...
I'm going there.
To which one? Kansas City, Missouri?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
nice.
Have fun.
Well, Jeff says, hi, guys. Some praise and a couple comments. I think the 3 of you have taken Earl Grey to its peak. This is the best the show has been, and I look forward to listening. In regard to Amy's thought of Troy being Picard's counselor first and then the crew, I hadn't thought of this. Makes sense on screen and in theory. I'm a school counselor, and the American School Counseling Association recommends the student counselor ratio to be 250 to 1. This never happens, lol.
Mm-hmm.
Troy may need some help with the Big E having 1,000 people. Finally, I wanted to thank Richard for sharing his personal thoughts, especially on his time in the military and what biases and potential prejudices can come of being in a situation that so few of us can understand. Richard, it's clear that what you share, military, fatherhood, etc., is not always easy for you, and I salute your willingness to do so. It shows your strengths and your level of self-reflection. I find that inspiring. Justin, your recent comments on your father and your childhood show the same. You often have deep reflections in the show, and I love what you have added to Earl Grey. You seem like a genuinely good dude. Amy, I can relate to so much of your student/school talk. I'm at the elementary level, but so much of it is the same. Keep it up. We're listening out here. Thank you so much, Jeff. We were really moved by your email. Such kind comments and praise, and oh my goodness, it just makes us feel so good that people appreciate what we do. So thank you so much for your email. I know you took some time to give us some feedback out of your busy day, and we really appreciate that.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you again for that email. That I know we all personally responded back to you and everything, but we can't say thank you enough for that kind email.
Yeah, it was very thoughtful. And when we got it, I was like instantly messaging Justin and Richard, check out this email. It was so nice and just so good to hear from our listeners, and really do appreciate your kind words. It really means a lot to us. All right. Well, on to today's discussion. Very excited. We are going to be giving some hints and tips about Star Trek Las Vegas. Now, all of us have attended this, so we're going to give our little personal perspectives and some information that maybe you listeners would be interested in hearing. And we're going to try and persuade you to join us this year. If not this year, then maybe next year at Star Trek Las Vegas. So, Justin, give us a little history about your first time at Star Trek Las Vegas and what led you to come.
Well, my very first time was last year in 2017. Actually, the first time I'd really been to a con of any kind. So kind of going into the deep end, because there's just thousands of people there. And I think, what the motivation was is over the years, I've just gotten more and more into Star Trek, and this seemed like a really great gathering of people where you can just have wall-to-wall Star Trek for 5 days. And I just look forward to seeing that. And I think, is that the first time I met you in person, Amy, was there? Yeah.
Yep,
so you get to meet people in person you've only talked to online or in a podcast, which is awesome. And there's just a great sense of community, lots of great events and things going on. So I just had to do it, and I'll be coming back this year. And I hope during this show we can share stories from our experience as well, because even if someone might not be going or considering it right now, hopefully they'll just enjoy us talking about what our experience has been like.
Yes. And Richard, give us your history with the Star Trek Las Vegas convention.
Well, I went to the 50th anniversary, so that was 2 years ago, and it was actually the first time I met Amy before she became part of the network.
Yes, I was just an Uber fan back then.
You were, and that was before me being Earl Grey, of course. So at that time, I was the production manager, or still is.
Yeah.
It just happened to be it ran into like a convenient like part of my schedule. Before that, I've already been to I think it was like 6 cons already before I even got to Star Trek Las Vegas. Now I'm at 17, so
wow.
I've been to quite a bit. Small one, big ones, but definitely, a friend of mine was actually getting married in Orange County. Funny enough, the weekend of Star Trek Las Vegas, or at least he changed it to Star Trek Las Vegas, and we were like, okay, well, we'll just pop by Star Trek Las Vegas on, I think it was Wednesday and Thursday, and then we left. And and funny enough, we turned it into a Star Trek trip because we went to Vasquez Rock.
Oh, nice.
So that was even better. So and then my daughter was there for vacation visiting her California family, so we just picked her up and all went to the wedding. So it was a good trip all around. So, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, even though I was belligerently drunk the last night.
Yes.
No thanks. No
Well,
thanks.
that's quite a description. Belligerently.
Well, yeah, I was.
Oh, God.
You don't even want to know what I left for the housekeeper. Anyway.
All right.
But no, it was the James T. Kirk's. It was that blue and yellow drink, and it had whipped cream on top. Freaking Zach loved them. And I was
kept
like, oh
ordering.
my gosh.
They were like everywhere on the table. It's like, whose drink is this? Is this my
I think
drink?
I had
Is
like
this your
7
drink?
of them.
I know.
So, and they were in small drinks. They were pretty big. So regardless, I had a great time.
And what can we do to convince you to come again so I can actually meet you in person, since I wasn't there 2 years ago?
Well, this year I can't, obviously, because I'm going to Atlanta. So, we're going to Ohio and then Atlanta. So, yeah, unfortunately, not this year.
But there's next year.
There's
There's
next year, maybe next year.
Yes. Well, I started, as listeners may or may not know, I live here in Las Vegas. So it is pretty convenient for me to attend. And my first convention was 6 years ago, but I only did one day. I had just recently discovered, now I don't even think I had discovered Trek FM back then, but I had heard about Star Trek Las Vegas. And I was like, what is this thing? And so I just went for one day. I got a Saturday. And listeners, I'm pretty shy. And so I just sort of stayed to myself and walked around. And
Richard's laughing like, Amy shy?
Pretty shy, my bud. You get a JT Kirk at her and she's fine.
So just walking around, keeping to myself. I barely spoke to anyone. I was just in awe, just soaking it all in. And after that one day experience, I was like, well, this is pretty awesome. So I went back and the following year and got a copper package, which we'll talk about. And that was awesome. I just went by myself again, just soaking in everything, trying to understand what this whole convention thing is completely by myself. And then I had found Trek FM. So for the 50th, I again renewed my copper package, and I was uber Trek FM fan, and there were so many hosts there. It was so awesome. Met so many amazing people from Trek FM, and then last year met Justin for the first time.
Yay!
And that was the TNG 30th. So for sure had to go there. But by that time, I didn't feel the need to get a copper because now I was going to see all my friends. And so then I got the general admission ticket for the weekend. And then this year, I am also getting the general admission weekend ticket. So listeners, let's go through the ticket options that they have. The gold, unfortunately, is sold out. So, but that's the one that has your reserved seat in the main, what's that called?
I say the
main
main hall.
Like convention center or whatever you want to call it. Or meeting hall.
Yeah, where all the panels are and stuff like that.
Well, the big panels.
The big panels.
Yeah.
Not all of them, yeah.
That's true. So you get a reserved seat, you get photo ops, you get dinner.
I don't know if it includes photo ops, but it includes autographs, right?
I thought you got preference on photo ops.
Oh, maybe that's what it is. Yeah.
Like a speed pass or something like that?
So, come. No, you do. I think you get to pick two. Anyways, it doesn't matter because they're sold out, but it's...
Well, for future years.
For future reference, yeah. No, I think you do get two... I really thought maybe photo ops, autographs, and then you get the concert that's Saturday night, the Nevada Pops concert, and that's great. So then they have the captain's chair, and if you would like to go, that's $869. and that you get your reserved seat a little bit further back in the main room there. You get. Ooh.
So remember, these are all 5 days.
Yes,
Is it
Yeah,
5
for
days
all-
or 4
packages,
days?
yeah.
It is a
Exactly.
5-day package. Yeah.
Yep. You get your Friday night dinner party, and there's live entertainment there. Joe Piscopo show. The Saturday night gala. There's a dance party Saturday night, and you get the collector's coin, which I forgot that you get that, and you get that with the gold as well. You get a Trek treat card, and that gets you some free gifts and bonuses in the vendor rooms. You get
A
laminated
special
credentials.
colored wristband
Yes.
yes.
and a collectible laminated credentials. Oh,
Yeah, so that
I
gets
still have
you-
my credentials from last year, so they are collectible.
Yeah, exactly. And then everything else you get in there.
just like everyone else.
Yeah. So that is the captain's chair. Again, $869.
So if you are shy and this is your first time going here, that might not be might not be the package you want to go with.
yeah,
unless
there's
unless
a
you
lot
aren't.
involved.
You're
in-
right, exactly.
Yeah. So the copper, which is the one that I started with when I went all 5 days, and it wasn't this much when I got it. The prices have really hiked up, unfortunately. But copper is available. It's $469. Again, for all 5 days, you get your reserved seating again further back. So you've got a lot of people in front of you. And basically, by the time you're at Copper, you're basically watching the big screen. It's just, you're so far back.
Pretty much, yeah.
And that was sort of another reason where it's like, I'm watching the screen anyway, so it doesn't matter where I am in the seating. So anyways.
Unless you get gold, yeah.
Yeah. So you get admission into everything, your special color-coded writbands, the gold coin, we'll talk about that. You do get admission to the Saturday night gala. Sorry.
Woohoo!
And yeah, so that's about what you get with the copper. So the general admission, and again, this is the one that I did again, just because having that assigned seat, I just wasn't in the auditorium as much. I was out visiting with friends. So I felt like general
That's a good
admission was good enough. It's all 5 days entrance. And that's about all you get.
I make a comment about all this.
Yes.
Because I know you were saying like you got the copper and then you were like, oh, I'm just spending all my time with friends and I'm going to go to the general admission. So I got the copper last year and it was kind of like that. You had to watch the screen. I actually decided to upgrade to gold this year because I wanted to be closer.
Nice.
So, well, and the reason for that, I know a lot of people say that, you know, you're there to see your friends, and that's true. But at the same time, I love seeing the panels as well. So I like having a nice seat. So I'm actually upgrading so we can be a little closer. But so it's up to
Very
like
good.
whatever your preference is. It
Oh,
could go
yeah.
either way.
So you're gonna be like Norman, and he's gonna be in the because he was in the panels almost the whole entire time.
Well, no,
He
I
didn't
wouldn't be there the
socialize
whole
with us.
time, but like last year, I probably went to like in the big hall at least a couple a day, and then in the secondary hall at least a couple a day, something like that, and there are photo ops and autographs and stuff like that. So I don't know, maybe the composition will be different, but for some of the things that I want to see for the panels, I like the idea of having yes, it's more expensive. Thankfully, you had a little bit to do that, but we'll see how it goes. Maybe we'll let you know afterwards, but.
Yeah, I was just sharing, what's good for me. I mean, this will be my 7th year, so seeing the panels, sometimes they get a little repetitive.
You've probably seen just about
hearing
everybody.
the same stories. Yeah, I thankfully have. So, well, not everyone, but those who have come.
There were certain ones I went to, but other ones I missed because things were going on at the same time or I had other things. So part of it is I'm going to see some of the people I didn't actually see last year. So
yeah, and so. Also with the general admission, so you don't get the commemorative coin, but you can buy it.
Oh.
So since I had my copper for 2 years, And I bought it last year because I wanted to continue my collection. So don't worry, you
The
can
commemorative
still get
coin
the
is cool, but it's not like I look at it every day.
I like it.
I like it too.
I make
though.
sure to buy
They
it.
had a nice TNG one last year. They'll probably hopefully have a DS9 one this year for the 25th.
Yeah. And again, the general admission doesn't have the Saturday night concert, but again, you can buy that as an add-on. So for me, like with general admission, if I buy the coin and the gala, it's still cheaper than the overall ticket price. So just some things to look at that. So then you have if you just want to go for a single day, those ticket prices, Wednesday and Thursday are $65. On Friday, it goes up to $75. And Saturday's the big cosplay day, and that's where probably the best panels are. And that's $85. And then Sunday, it goes back down to $75. And then you have your autographs. I looked at the prices. They range from $25 to $100. And a lot of the autographs, the actors are sitting in the vendor room, and so you can just go up and pay them cash. You really do need to have cash for that, and get their autographs, and you can talk to them one-on-one. They're very nice. It's great talking to everyone.
Do you guys get a lot of photo ops anymore?
I got a number of them last year. I actually just got one this year. So I don't know. But like also another thing about the photo ops and the autographs, there are some that you can get in advance, but there's a handling fee for that. So if it's not somebody that's going to sell out, you may just want to buy it there and avoid that fee.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I've never gotten a photo op.
Never? See, you don't want to have a photo op with like Marina Sirtis? Come on.
It's just not my thing.
Okay.
I just don't care about it.
I liked it.
have enjoyed talking to her.
Okay.
Like those memories. Yeah.
I have a picture with her, but it's not a photo op. And honestly, I actually think it's a better picture, to be quite honest, because it seems more personal because we did it on my phone, obviously.
Yeah.
That's true.
I actually like I like
good.
the whole selfie thing. Yeah, I really do like those pictures more than the professional ones, to be quite honest. Unless it's something big like.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
And the other thing about the photo ops is that, you know, you're in this room, you're in line, they hustle you through, you have like a couple seconds, next. But if you're at a table getting an autograph, depending on what's going on, but a lot of times you can talk to them for a little bit. If it's a selfie, you can have that picture taken there. They can tell you some stories. This wasn't at Star Trek Las Vegas, but I was at El Paso Comic-Con a few months ago and saw Marina Sirtis and got to talk to her for like 10 minutes, and she told this amazing story, which I cannot tell here because it's reasons. But like sometimes you'll get like really great stories or other things if you stop by the table. So just be aware if the photo op looks cool, but a few seconds and it's like next. You don't really get any time with them.
Like herd like cattle or something like
a little
that.
bit,
Yeah.
Yeah, and they are, you know, more composed with the blue background generally. Yeah. And those prices are $40 to $100, and with the mode being $60. And for my
a math term.
Mathematical people, that's the most occurring price. So $60 is what most of them charge, but the range is 40 up to 100. But yeah, like when you're in the vendor room, you can, you know, they'll do selfies and you just pay them, you know, $20, $25, something like that.
I love some of these group photos. I don't know. It just screams like a commercial, like Kate Mulgrew, William Shatner, and you for $199. Only on Saturday.
Yeah.
I just love some of these like group packages are great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you could read them like like your infomercial or something like that.
Exactly.
Anyway, but yeah, I mean, I've only got a handful of them, and you know, they're not. It's not many. I mean, but I really do love the selfie sort of.
Yeah,
sort of
I
thing.
like I
And
did
plus,
that at
like
El
you
Paso
said-
Comic-Con, and I really enjoyed it. I got like a little selfie with, and when we say selfie, I mean, I don't know, maybe it's different at STLV, but it wasn't really like, oh, just hold up your phone, and they would actually like have an assistant at the table, like compose the photo on your cell phone. And I actually liked that more. I got one with Jonathan Frakes and one with Marina Sirtis, and it was just very cool, and it cost less than being herded through the cattle line.
Yeah.
So,
So that's
exactly.
a good tip, listeners.
And then on top of that, you don't have to stay in line for those professional photos. But they do go quick, but still, you wouldn't have to stay in line.
No, it's amazing. They you'll have like, I don't know how many people it is. Maybe it's like 50, 75, or 100, and they'll hustle them through in like 10 minutes. It's crazy.
Yeah. I will say this, like when we went to Salt Lake City, they were really efficient on how they did theirs. I mean, when Denver, the first couple of years, it was very rough and, they didn't know what they were doing. But once they figured it out, that was it. It's really efficient how they do it. So, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, staying at Star Trek Las Vegas, it is in the Rio Hotel and Casino Convention Center. So I believe most people stay at the Rio. And now, even though I live here, I still get a room at the Rio because it's so much fun just being there. It's my little staycation. You're there till all hours of the night, and you can just go up to your room and not miss a single moment.
Yeah, let me say
not all.
Let me say something else about that, because you could stay at another hotel like the Gold Coast or something like that. But when I think about this, I think about a graphic that I saw recently that showed the Earth, Vegas, and the sun. And Vegas was really close to the sun compared to the Earth. It is hot, hot, hot outside in August. So, like, I stayed at the Rio last year. I'll be doing that this year because I don't want to, like, stay at another hotel and, like, walk there. And even in the morning, it can be hot. So, just something to think about.
Listeners, we do get quite warm here. It's 110 degrees generally around that time, which is 43 degrees Celsius for our non-Fahrenheit listeners.
Oh, that ain't no thing.
However, like, paradoxically, inside when you're at the convention, it can be cold. So hot outside, but take a sweater or a jacket, because it feels like, if you're saying it's 110 Fahrenheit and what was that, 43 Celsius, it's probably something like 68 degrees Fahrenheit or something like that, which is
and it's a blowing freaking
Celsius.
68 degrees.
Yeah, and it kind of blows at you. So just know it's hot outside, but I don't think I even went outside in 5 days. So I would just pack up for the cold stuff inside.
I had to go outside to warm up because listeners, I was freezing the whole time. Thankfully, I had a little Star Trek, jacket, but
cosplay is supposed to keep you warm, right?
No,
I guess
that
it
was
depends on
another
the
thing.
cosplay.
It's
Well,
like
if you
I
are
got
in cosplay,
cold,
that'd
and
be
so
great
I don't.
for you.
No,
I
that's
was
cool.
cold the whole time.
Okay.
I carried around a blanket and my jacket.
It's cold.
Yeah.
Did you wear a parka too? and a scarf too?
Well, I have my the fleece zipper. What's it called?
Snuggie.
But I got it from the Star Trek when they did the concert tour for the 50th.
Okay.
What's that? Anyways, so I wear that because it's still Star Trek-y. And but I was cold. But the other option is to stay at the Gold Coast. It is a little bit cheaper. It's directly across the street. It's right next to the Rio. But again, it's far away because you have to walk all the way to the convention center, which is at the back of the Rio. But I'm seeing a lot more people staying at the Gold Coast, less lines for breakfast. They have a nice buffet there that's doable. It's not the best, but
It's doable.
Well, I guess the other thing is, like, it's a lot of walking, even if you're just staying within the Rio, just to get down there. So in addition, also walking across the street just adds to it. But it's totally an option if you want to do that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we stayed at the Rio too, and I don't mind walking.
And it felt like from my hotel room down to like the main theater, it felt like a mile.
Oh my gosh, I know. Walking those halls to get to the convention center, and there's 2 towers. One of them is a little bit closer, while the other one's further away. I've stayed in both of the towers. I can't decide which one I like best, but all right. Well, on to the panels, the vendor room, and events and parties that are happening over the weekend. So, as we know, this is Deep Space Nine's 25th, so they are having a Deep Space Nine panel, which should be awesome. They've been together before. I've seen them together, but we are seeing them.
They're great together. Likely won't see Avery Brooks, but we've got other people like a non-visitor and the others. So that'll be great. Amy, are there TNG things you'll be looking forward to? I know we had the 30th last year, but...
Oh my gosh, was that just not amazing? Okay, so the Rio, the Creation is the company who sets these up. And so for the 30th, they had these big banners hanging in the hall with the individual characters of Next Gen. And so I'm looking forward, they should have that as well for the DS9.
Well, and also, I mean, I don't know if it makes sense to mention it here, but the TNG people that'll be there. So what they have confirmed so far is Brent Spiner, Marina Sirtis, Michael Dorn, LeVar Burton, Gates McFadden, Jonathan Frakes. So a lot of the regulars. One that's missing there is Patrick Stewart, who was there last year, but I think he comes every other year or something like that, right?
Yeah.
The usual.
Yeah. But let's hope that Frakes is there because he... at the last minute had like a canceled flight.
Yeah, he tried.
He did
really
try.
Did.
It was like, he's coming. Oh no, he's not coming. Oh no, he's going to be able to get another flight. Oh no, he's not coming. So it was like,
we were getting updates through the whole time.
And I was kind of disappointed. Thankfully, as I said, I saw him at El Paso Comic-Con. So I've got my little injection of Frakes. But for those that couldn't see him last year, hopefully he'll make it this year because he's great, and he's really great on these panels with the other TNG celebrities. And whenever you get two or more of them together, it's such a fun time. Such a fun time. They
are the best. And you know what? If Patrick Stewart isn't there, it's okay because Brent Spiner does a spot-on Patrick Stewart impression.
Is it as spot-on as Dwight Schultz in the interview that we had with him? But yeah, he has a pretty good Patrick Stewart.
Gosh, it's so funny. And every time Marina's on stage, it's a hoot. Like, I love it.
Looks like we also have Denise Crosby and Cole Meany. I don't know if he was there last year, was he? I don't know if he was. But anyway, that'll be cool. Hear him talk about both TNG and DS9 stuff. So
is John Delancey on the list? I think he
is.
Too.
Yeah. He will be there, and he's pretty fun too. So a lot of TNG people, but of course, lots of people from all iterations of Star Trek, which is great. So
So some of the events, I'm just going to read them and then let me know if you had attended them or know about them. So there's the dinner parties, like I said, for the Gold and the Captains.
I
Nevada
guess I'm going to go to that for the first time this year because I didn't have that
Yes, you are.
When is that? Friday night?
That's Friday night.
Okay.
Yeah.
See what it's like.
Uh-huh. And the Nevada Pops was the concert on Saturday night for the gala, so you'll be going to that.
Yes, and it is so special this year because
so special.
Michael Giacchino is going to be conducting music from the Kelvin Star Trek movies, but we're also going to get Jeff Russo, who with a world premiere of Discovery. I don't think it's new music, but it's a world premiere like orchestral performance of the Discovery music for the public, which is really exciting. So that's going to happen at the gala, and it's included in the copper and above, but if you have general admission, you have to pay $50. But heck, I think for that performance, it's well worth it.
Yeah. And if you listeners haven't listened to the recent Melodic Trek with the interview with Jeff Russo, it's great. And I'm very excited to go in part because of that interview. And he sounds amazing and so talented.
And I love the music he's done on Discovery.
I know. And like, if you listened, spoiler alert, he said that he sat down and wrote the Star Trek Discovery and there was just only a few little changes he made to it.
Yeah.
But the theme, it just came to him. I was like, oh my gosh, he's so talented.
And I love Michael Giacchino's music too. So that's going to be a real thrill to see both of them at that gala. So and I went to London because of that, because I went to the Royal Albert Hall and listened to the live orchestra while they were showing the movie for 09. But it wasn't Michael Giacchino there, right?
No, we did have Simon Pegg who introduced it.
All right.
Yeah. That is going to, listeners, I think that will be the recent episode of Primitive Culture where I met up with the host there and we did a live recording there at the concert hall. So
that hasn't come out yet, right?
Oh, it will by the time this drops.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So some other things. The DeForest Kelley Theater, that's the secondary theater. That is not reserved seats. So it's just go in, first come, first serve. And they've got different panels and interviews and stuff going on the whole time.
Yeah, and there's lots of great stuff there. I mean, I think sometimes people might just go to the main hall, but there's lots of great stuff in that secondary hall. And some of it is kind of like more in-depth stuff. Like I think they would have things
Yes.
like Michael and Denise Okuda talking about the design aesthetic that they had for the Next Generation era, and authors talking about novels and like things. I found a lot of those really cool, and it's a more intimate setting. It's not like this huge hall with thousands of people. Maybe you could fit a few hundred people in there, maybe.
Yeah.
It's probably less, but it's a more intimate setting. It's easier for you to line up and ask a question, and there's some really great like insights and deep dives into Trek stuff. So I definitely recommend that because anybody can just go in and watch it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they have like trivia there sometimes too, and the mission log does their
That's right. I
annual
think they did like
live
a live
broadcast.
broadcast there. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yep. Yeah, for the 50th, again, I wasn't a host, but I went up and asked a question, and then I heard myself on their podcast. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's me. Anyways,
and
like I
speaking
said,
of-
I was an Uber fan back then.
Speaking of questions, so last year I had the opportunity in the main hall, I think it was for the TNG panel, to go up and ask a question. I think it was a Patrick Stewart, and to mention Earl Grey in front of like all the people. And now like there are recordings of these panels, so you can see it on YouTube, like me asking my question and mentioning Earl Grey. So anyway,
There you go.
that was like an exciting moment for me. So
Yes.
But Richard, like tell us about like any experience you've had with, panels or these events, or did you go to any of those events when you were there?
The only panel I went to was the Whoopi Goldberg one.
Oh man, I'm
was
so
it.
sad that I missed that because she was there 2 years ago, but she wasn't there last year, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and it was her first one too.
Yeah. What
Yes,
was
it
what was
was.
that like? Because that was like the first real like Star Trek con she'd ever gone to, right?
Yep, it was.
Yeah. It was all right.
Oh really? There weren't any
I mean,
life-changing stories?
No.
Whoopi's pretty political.
Oh, is that what it is?
Let's not go into that.
All right,
Yeah.
all right.
but
I mean,
but,
did she
like,
talk about like her experience on the show and
well,
what it was like?
she didn't talk about anything political. I just want to just put that out right there. It was a lot of one thing I really one thing that really kills me about the whole like all the DVDs and all that kind of stuff and all the specials and all that. You hear the same things over and over and over and over again, and it's kind of like her previous interviews that she's had talking about TNG, and of course she told the story of how she became, or Guinan, and being friends with LeVar Burton, obviously.
Watching Nichelle Nichols and
Right,
I know
exactly.
we've heard these stories.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've heard it all. I mean, I guess you could call me a spoil fan, or we could all be considered spoil fans, but at the same time, it's great. It really is. I mean, there wasn't really anything
Okay.
monumental.
And I
new.
guess it can depend because like I saw the TNG panel last year at STLV, and there were certain stories they told, some of which I'd heard before and some which I hadn't. And then I saw them at again a smaller convention at El Paso Comic-Con, although I think it was just Brent Spiner, Marina Sirtis, and Jonathan Frakes. But they told some like completely different stories, and there was all this like cool banter. So for some of them, especially like I think the TNG stars, you will get something different, I think, from that experience.
Well, I mean, right, exactly, and it's going to happen. It is. It's absolutely going to happen. I mean, and that really, I'm not a panel kind of person. I mean, I went to some of them, and I think, how far did we get? I think we got to like row 10, because no one was there. I mean. Yeah, and I think they were panning over the crowd, and they didn't want like empty seats sort of thing, and there was a lot of people that weren't there. I can't remember what it was. I think the Whoopi Goldberg one was near empty. I should
really,
say.
that's kind of surprising.
Oh yeah. Everyone. I don't know why, but maybe I don't know. I really don't know why. But like there were several other panels that I've gone to. Obviously, a good majority of the general mission was empty, because obviously everyone else was at the vendors doing.
And sometimes there's
photo
things
ops
at
and
the
all that kind of
secondary
stuff.
hall and other things that are going
Well,
on.
and plus
Right,
a lot
exactly.
of people, if you've got a high photo op, like there's lines and lines.
Yeah.
And so you sort of walk through the halls and it's like, oh, what's this line? What am I missing out? Oh, it's
Right.
just a photo op, you know?
Yeah.
So if Patrick Stewart or William Shatner or George Takei was, you know, having a photo op, then you've
it'd
got
be
a lot of
emptier.
people
Yeah, that's
in
right.
line.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
So, I mean,
when,
it just depends on what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah. So when
Yeah.
Whoopi was there, she also did a show at Treasure Island. And so I got the show and saw her perform her routine, her act. And it was really cool because Rod Roddenberry was there. And so she brought him up on stage. And so I got to see a little bit more of her Star Trek stories actually at her show.
Okay,
So that was
cool.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think one other thing we should mention is that for the schedule of these things, they only come out with the actual schedule like 5 to 7 days in advance, something like that, right? So, I like to plan things, so I'm like, but anyway.
Yeah.
But I know, like you're saying, Amy, like the panels aren't as much. But for me, I do like going to the panels and like to plan for those. And sometimes they have special things going on. Like this year, one thing they already announced was a screening of the DS9 episode Far Beyond the Stars, which is one of my absolute favorite Star Trek episodes. And I'm looking forward to like seeing it on a bigger screen and watching it with lots of Star Trek fans. So there are kind of some special events like that happen too.
Yeah, definitely. There's going back to some of the events, there's the costume parade, which happens Saturday at 8 a.m. I'm telling you, 8 a.m. I've missed it every year. It's too early for me.
That's too early. But then there's like a costume contest later, right?
Yep, there is. And people go all out. It's so amazing to see. It's seriously awesome.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, for the cosplay, you remember, Amy, last year there were the two people. One of them was Data, and the other was like Troy as a cake and Data with the knife. That was amazing, and they didn't win. I don't think they even placed.
I know.
Like, what? So yeah, there's some really creative, incredible cosplay that happens there too. Yeah,
they have Klingon Karaoke, which I think we went to last year.
Yeah, that was fun. That was a lot of fun because you had. At least last year, it was Robert O'Reilly and J.G. Hertzler, and they were just like in their Klingon makeup and singing and having a good time.
They're there every year.
Oh, and there were some people who were actually singing in Klingon, which was cool. So.
Oh my gosh, I know, right?
Lots of fun.
There's trivia contests that are going around.
Have you done one of those?
No, I haven't. Brandon Shea Mutella has, and I think he won.
Did he really?
And
2
Zach
years
too.
ago at the 50.
Yeah,
because
Zach did too.
I wanted to do that, but it kept conflicting with something else I wanted to see, or a photo op or something. Maybe this
exactly.
year.
Yeah.
Cool.
Michael Westmore does, and he's like done all the makeup. He's the main makeup artist for Star Trek, and so he will on stage, transform someone into their character.
I haven't seen that yet. Did you see that?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. Well, he did. Well, Robert Beltran, that wasn't that big of a deal, but,
because it was just Chakotay's tattoo.
Right. Yeah. Just Chakotay.
That was it.
Ink. Yeah.
But they did, 2 years ago, they did, turn him into a Romulan. I don't remember the character if it was a character, but just went into a Romulan. That was really cool. But yeah, there's so much. And again, you don't get the schedule until like the very last minute. And then you're like trying, what do I want to see? What can't I miss? And then you got to give up. Yeah.
Certain things. Yeah.
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 So let's talk about some of the things that are there to see, like the vendor room. And then they have displays and the props.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I spent a good amount of time in the vendor's room last year. Probably spent way too much money, but because there's so much cool stuff there. There's posters and pins and books and it's all kinds. Ships and uniforms and like so much interesting stuff in the vendor room. Did you have like a favorite thing in the vendor room, Amy?
Oh my gosh. Well. Getting the Juan Ortiz book was really a highlight.
That was great.
I really, really like that. And then because we were able to walk around and get a lot of the interviews from the actors, secondary actors and stuff like that, that was amazing. Yeah. And I'm feeling now, thanks to you, more comfortable in approaching and, saying hi to these people that, I'm just like, oh, oh, and trying not to be this huge fangirl, but be a regular person. And that's been hard for me in the past.
Yeah, and also, I should mention in the vendors room there are also, some of the actors where you can get an autograph or photo op or talk to them or whatever. So that's really great too. And let's see, I think last year they even had like a lot of the main TNG people like at one long table in the vendors room, right? So you could just kind of go through all of it, which is fun. But yeah, there's lots of great people to like talk to about their experience. I mean, especially if it's not someone that's incredibly well known or have a long line, but you can talk to them for a while. Like, we got to talk to Spencer Garrett for a while last year. Played Simon Tarsus in the Drumhead, and he was super nice. And he was like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" I think it was his first time at a con, right?
It was, yep,
Yeah.
it was.
And he was like,
and
"Oh,
like
it's so
every
great."
time we walked by, he'd like
Be
say
like,
hi.
"Hey."
I'm like, oh, you remember us.
And then as we were talking to him, I think like Walter Koenig stopped by and they took a picture together, which was cool. So you never know who's going to stop by, which is a cool thing about the vendors room.
Yeah. But I bought the Star Trek Monopoly game, just some weird things. You're like, oh my gosh, look at this. And of course you can get any and every type of Star Trek t-shirt and others.
Yes.
Props, they're there, but they have like the sets, like they have the City on the Edge of Forever, that
the Guardian
arch.
of Forever. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Yeah. The Guardian of Forever, that arch there. They have the transporter.
They have a little transporter, like a TOS transporter. Yeah.
Yep. They had the backdrop because it was TNG last year, but they had the Borg ship. And
they even had like the Borg alcove where you could take a picture, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The alcove so you can be regenerated. That was pretty cool.
Well, and they also had the like a recreation of the 10 forward set and
and the TOS.
And the TOS bridge.
The TOS is there every year.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And what they had last year, and which I think they'll have this year, is also the Discovery props. So they had like the captain's chair for you to take a picture in, which we did, which is cool.
Yes, we did.
And then like all the props, which are so detailed. I think they pretty much have the same props this year, except they'll have an agonizer booth too.
That's right.
I'm a little afraid of that. But yeah, but there's all kinds of cool stuff and like little opportunities like that. I mean, it's just like wall-to-wall Star Trek stuff. Oh, and the Juan Ortiz prints, they had on display his prints from all 170 something episodes, and you can like look at them, and they had it was this huge display. I don't know what they might do that's like that this year, but that was very impressive, and I spent a lot of time looking at them. So
I did too, because he just had a way of capturing the episode with his art.
Yep.
And you'd look at it and you're like, oh, I love this episode. Well, that was me, but
you'd say that for every episode.
I did.
But yeah, that was a lot of fun. So, and sometimes they have different things, but so it's not just about like the panels and the parties and the events and, there's great people to see and people to talk to and displays and things. I mean, you can't possibly do everything there. It's just impossible. Yeah. There's just that much.
Now, listeners, there is a certain event that we want to invite you to if you are coming to Star Trek Las Vegas. We are going to have a little get-together, a Star Trek Trek FM meetup. That's going to be Thursday evening at 6:30. We're going to go down to the Link area, have dinner, and then ride the High Roller, which is the big Ferris wheel that goes around. It is the tallest.
We're riding
in
a
the
Ferris
world.
wheel?
Yes.
I'll watch you guys while you do that.
Justin, it's you. Okay. Listen, if you're afraid of heights, don't be, because this thing moves so slow and it's a huge room. All of us can fit in at once, and you can stay right in the center. You don't even have to look out. It's completely safe. You don't even know you're moving. It's amazing.
Well, you know what?
And you'll be there with friends.
Maybe if Colm Meaney is there in his DS9 uniform and he can stand by to fix anything, I would trust him. But Amy, for that, if people want to participate in that, if they haven't already gotten in contact with you, should they, so that you know to anticipate them?
Yes. Please let me know. We've got a lot of hosts that are coming. We'll just mention them real quick to whet your appetite so you can come see us. Obviously, I will be there. Justin will be there this year. We have our standard orbit, the entire
All three of them.
crew.
Yeah.
Yes. We will have the entire hosts from Literary Treks down
Yeah.
in Bruce are coming. So very excited for that. Ooh.
Did you convince anybody else since I last heard?
No, I didn't convince any of the other hosts. But
That's great.
we
There'll
have
be 7 of us.
I know. We do have some amazing listeners who are going to join us. And so if you don't hear your name and you do want to come again, please let me know. We've got Chris. Both of our Gregs are coming. Thad and Barry and Suman. And, of course, Rosie is coming.
Yes, my wife will be
We'd
there.
love to have her. Yes. Heather is coming. And Tim Robertson. Jew is coming.
Oh,
But I
okay.
don't think he's coming to the Thursday thing. I think he's flying in Friday. So,
No.
anyways, just let me know,
Well,
listeners.
and if
We'd
people
love
want
to
to
have
let
you.
you know, should it just be through Facebook or Twitter?
Yes. Yeah. Or on the feed when this drops. Just, let me know or
Just drop a
contact me
comment.
via.
Okay.
Yep.
That'll be
Yeah.
awesome.
And I'll get you there. So we're going to, have a nice Trek FM meetup group there. So that's the event that for sure we want everyone to come to.
And that's with the dinner that night, right, too?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just have enough people to take over the whole restaurant.
I know. I've been in contact with Yard House twice, and I keep telling them, I'm like, hey, I'm bringing in this party. And they're like, I said, can I please make a reservation? No, we don't do reservations. And I'm like, I'm still going to get to them and say, we need a reservation. But yeah. Which brings us to food and what to eat while you're at the convention. So, Richard, where did you eat while you were there the few days that you were there?
I think when we landed and got to the hotel, we went to Smash Burger, and that's actually where I met Rod Roddenberry. Anyway, in the middle there, he looked at me like I was gonna fan out. I'm like, hi, and that's
Hey.
all I did
up?
because I don't do that. So because I recognized him and his family were there. So anyway, so we ate there the first night, or when we got there, which was like noon, I think it was. And then that restaurant that's in the Rio, that Asian restaurant is.
Yeah.
I don't remember what kind of food
I know
it
what
was.
you mean. Maybe it was Chinese.
I don't know. I had a feeling it was a pho restaurant.
Oh,
I don't
we're
know.
thinking of a different one.
Oh, it's when you go into the door, it's right to your left. When you come through the main entrance. So
Yeah.
So we ate there the next night, and then we tried that all seafood buffet that they had there, and then we also went to Serendipity, which is at the
Is that at the Paris?
it might be no. It's
Oh.
at Caesars. It's at
Caesars.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then that was it.
Yeah.
I mean, we really didn't. Obviously, we didn't. We were only there for like 2 days. But like, I think I drank more than anything else.
Yes.
But yeah, definitely. Those were the. I mean, it was relatively inexpensive to eat at those places. I mean, they typically are, except for that seafood place. That seafood place
Yeah.
was wow. That was a lot.
It was expensive. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot.
It-
I mean, and I wasn't even. I guess I should have starved myself to actually eat all that food because there was a lot there and it was expensive, and I usually get my money's worth when it comes to, like, buffets. So
Well, and you bring up a good point. Like you said, Rod Roddenberry. And like I went to a Chinese restaurant yesterday and there was John Billingsley just hanging out. And, we were at the tail end of our dinner. We invited him over and he's like, no, you're leaving. And I just ordered, but it was fun just to see him and bump into him. And,
I saw John Delancey deciding whether or not he was going to order at one place. I was like, oh, hi.
does anyone notice me?
yeah.
Yeah. So I remember there was also a really good Indian place. I forget what it was called, but I ate there a couple times. I'm vegetarian, so it's a little maybe more restricted. But, there were some restaurants that ate there. I think I also
Do you eat
went.
fish?
No, I don't eat fish.
Oh, okay.
So but also, I think one of the things that I did was also went to like a grocery store and bought some stuff because you do have a fridge in the room, and
Mhm,
ate from
you
some
do.
of that. So
Mhm.
that's one way to go about it. But I think they have pretty good restaurants there. I guess it
It's
depends on how
just
you define expensive because
you have to plan on waiting in line. Like
Mm.
Starbucks is ridiculously long every
Yeah.
morning. They have
because
a
it's like
hash.
from the elevator to the casino, it's like the
Oh
thing
my
that's
gosh.
there. So
Yeah. So you just have to plan on waiting in line. They've got a cafe there, All American Grill and Cafe
oh
there.
yeah, that's right. That was pretty good.
And yeah, that's good. I
They even had a
probably
veggie
ate there the
burger.
most. Yeah.
Hey, this is
Um,
exciting for me, Richard. Don't lie.
They have Guy Fieri's a Mexican restaurant there, which, to be honest, it was not good. But I did see some Enterprise. Trip and Malcolm were there. I'm sorry,
that's cool.
I forget their names.
No, you got it right.
Well, I mean their actor names.
They're-
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah. And then they were hanging out with Esri Dax. So those three, they
cool.
sort of hang out together. So yeah, but there's a lot of lines. So yeah, I would bring like snacks like protein bars or granola bars and like apples and
because also you may be down like at the convention hall or whatever, and you have to walk all the way back to get to the restaurant. So you want to probably take something with you in a backpack or a bag or something because like there is no food that there is available like in that whole area.
Well, there is at Quark's Bar.
Oh, that's true.
It's
that's
the
true.
prepackaged sandwiches,
But you don't want to
Yeah,
buy
but maybe
those.
maybe I should say maybe
Yeah.
not necessarily the stuff that you would want, but
Because they probably get something like that from like 7-Eleven or some kind of
know.
convenience store.
I don't
know.
I think
But you're
I
right,
ate
there
it
is the little bar
once.
I don't
And
think
the
I went
listeners,
there.
that tells you
So-
once.
So
only.
typically, what we do for every con, we always have peanuts for protein, and then I always carry at least two Cliff Bars. Obviously, whatever flavor you want. Two Cliff Bars for like energy and everything, for like snacks while you're walking around and everything and whatnot. And that typically. I mean, like I said, that's every con I go to. So, I mean, it works out pretty well. I mean, I try. I mean, especially in the Denver one, I definitely do not buy anything inside the con when it deals with food, unless it's like a specialty item or something like that, maybe. But really, I stay away from the food vendors because they're outrageous on how much they price those all. I mean, even drinks are insane.
I think usually what I did last year was, get out of your room. If you're going to have breakfast somewhere, and then go make sure you have some snacks, do a few things, and then walk back up and have lunch, sit down for a while, and then come back and do whatever, you're going to do. So, but that could be a lot of walking.
I do have one recommendation. I'm glad you said something about breakfast. That breakfast place when you're on your way to the convention center, that's in the Rio, obviously. You go past
the Go-Go.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
That breakfast place on the left side?
Yep.
That place is amazing.
It's the bomb.
That place is amazing. If you go,
There's really long lines.
go there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Don't even. I don't care. Just go.
It is. It's amazing.
That place is amazing. It is worth the wait, and it is I mean, it's like Denny's before they changed their serving size, or not Denny's, Village Inn before they changed their serving size from big to small. But like,
Listeners,
it's amazing.
it's 10 times better than Village Inn.
Well, what isn't? But I'm just saying, like, this place is amazing. They've got a combination of like Tex-Mex, like breakfast sort of stuff, so like some other stuff, and on top of that, your traditional breakfasts and all that kind of
Their
stuff.
waffle,
It's
chicken
awesome.
and waffles is a masterpiece. Everything is a masterpiece. Huge sizes. I mean,
Guys, they're going to start
definitely
thinking
plan
that
on
you're
sharing.
being paid by them.
This podcast is paid by,
Yeah.
Brought to you by Go-Go.
or brought to you by,
Yeah, we'll expect our free meal.
yeah, free meal. Yeah, you might as well just take mine. You're there.
Yeah, there's definitely lots of restaurants, and of course, you're not too far from the Strip, so there's always places to go there. But
Right.
There's ways to save money, and there's ways to spend money for sure.
There's many ways to spend money there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My best recommendation is to bring snacks. But if you, definitely that breakfast place is worth the wait and money and all that
It
kind of
is.
stuff. And, obviously you could pick and choose on the buffets.
Yeah, and most of the panels don't start till around 9. Well, mostly 10.
Mostly
but there
10,
are some.
yeah.
But there's a few
So you have
that
time
start
to
at
have
9.
breakfast before stuff gets going.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
get out there at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Unless
line.
you're hanging out at the masquerade bar with me till all hours of the night.
Yeah, I was going to say, is like, the party didn't stop.
Oh, I see. So if you can't
Oh
find
my
Amy,
gosh.
just go to the masquerade bar and wait for a while.
Yep. There you go. I'll be there. Oh. All right. Well, we have talked for a while. So just some last minute tips and things. Definitely bring cash. I just saw that the ATMs at the Rio are charging a higher fee for using them now. So please make sure to bring enough cash.
I forget what it was last year. Was it almost $5?
Yeah.
In addition to whatever your bank fee is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on top of your bank fee, which is usually around $2. But then, no, they're bumping it up to I think it was $7.75 to use their ATM. So it's just not worth it. So just come prepared. Like I said, the autographs, and when you're in the vendor room, they usually just do cash. You give them a $20 and get their autograph.
A few do credit cards, but you want to count on it having to be cash.
Yeah.
Yep. Definitely.
And most of the vendors, I would say, do have credit card, but just cash is king
Right.
at these types of events. So please be aware of that. Any other
Oh, I
tips?
had one thing that I added.
Yeah.
So one thing that was a really helpful tip that I got last year is take a portable charger for your cell phone, because you're going to be out there for a while for some hours, and you might want to take pictures or put stuff on social media or whatever, and your phone will get drained relatively quickly. Sure, there are places where you can plug it in, but you have to kind of stop what you're doing, sit down somewhere like in the hallway and charge it. But one thing that my wife and I got last year was a portable charger. So you can order these online. I think I got one that was Anchor, which is one of the best ones. They have different capacities and things. Richard's showing it. But basically what it is, you charge this portable charger like overnight, and then you just plug it into your phone, and you can have it in your pocket or, hold it or whatever, and you can keep moving and doing what you're doing, and it'll keep it charged. And usually you can charge those things and it'll keep it going for 1 and 1.5 charges or something like that. But that's one of the best tips that I got, because you don't want to have it to run out if you want to take a picture or call someone that's nearby or whatever. So definitely I'd recommend that.
And we're always messaging each other. Where are you? I'm in the vendor's room. Oh, I'm at this panel. And trying to keep in contact.
But that was like one of the
need to have
best
your
tips
phone.
that I got last year. And it
Great
came
tip.
very much in handy, and I'll be taking mine again this year.
Yes.
So.
And carry around water. There's they do have water cups and watering stations in the panel rooms, in the auditoriums.
They do, yeah.
So you have that, but then you're
those
carrying around an
open cup. Sometimes they run out or whatever. Like I have like a hard plastic water bottle that I'll be taking, and you can just have that filled up, and because buying bottled water can be expensive.
It is, yep. So
and you will need the water because
tip.
you'll be moving around. So
a lot of walking.
I think like last year it was probably 6 to 8 miles a day that I ended up walking, something like that. Yeah. So
wear your Fitbit so you can count those steps.
So something to add on to the portable charger. So I got this one right here. So I know you guys can't see it.
It's silver.
It's silver. I can't remember what it's called, but like this is the best charger I've ever had in my entire life. This one you can buy at Best Buy. It's like a 1560 mega. I don't know.
Milliamps.
Anyway, but it's a really good. I mean, there's a lot of chargers out there that are actually really great, and that's great advice to bring that portable charger, especially when like your low was on the go, and the signal in that building's sucks.
Yes.
and it's on top of all the electronics obviously that's going on with the casino, and then on top of that, everyone else uploading to social media and all that and whatnot.
I thought it was pretty good
Is
last
another
year,
thing.
actually. It wasn't too bad, and I was able to.
Well, in certain areas,
Yeah.
it sucked. I mean, obviously you went to a window, you were fine,
Yeah.
but everyone was at the window. So, I mean, if you don't like long crowds, something I don't know if they're gonna do this or not, but like I've noticed that a lot of cons and conventions and all that kind of stuff are now charging to charge. So this is a lightsaber,
Okay.
and you
they
need to
didn't
bring
do that
something
at
like
STLV last year, but could change.
It's a starting
That
trend.
creation.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, not creation, the Rio. I mean,
Oh.
why not make the money?
Oh, I
you know
see.
what I mean?
Yeah. But yeah, definitely.
like,
And when you're looking at the portable chargers, make sure you just compare it and see like how long of a charge they'll give you, because some of them will give you more than others, and it might be worth it to spend a little bit more. But yeah.
I'll have to find it, but this thing charges for about 2 days, and it I think my wife plays Pokemon Go a lot. So so we were at Denver Comic Con, and she didn't even. This thing's got 4 bars on it, and she didn't even make it to the second bar. So she used it almost exclusively the entire time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So and her phone was hot and running the entire time. So
Yep.
this thing works.
It does. It really does.
So it's definitely a lifesaver. So this is what I tell everyone when they go to cons, especially if this is your first time. Always drink vitamin C before you get to the con, and every single day.
Yeah, there's this thing called con crud.
That's right. I experienced it on Father's Day, and it sucked. But and also hand sanitizer too, because this year I played photographer at Denver Comic Con, and shook a lot of hands and everything, and I made the mistake of not washing my hands or freaking doing Purell or something like that. Not saying everyone's dirty, I'm just saying not everyone also is in the same level of cleanliness either. So always carry definitely Purell, something like a hand sanitizer or something like that, and always drink like emergency the day before you get there and every night you're there. Just so you can beat it, and your immunity system will be.
I've heard
basically
so
kick
much
it on
about
all.
this, but I'm set myself up for this. But I've only been to 2, but I've never
Yeah,
gotten sick
for
after
your
one.
2.
Yeah, 15 cons,
for
and I
2.
always did that. I always did that every con except for Denver.
Okay.
And that was
Good.
it was first and only time, and that was the biggest mistake I ever made. So please, if
Okay.
you don't, unless you want the Comic-Con crud,
Yeah, just
But-
another tip.
there you go.
And it's easy and might save you, that con
Simply.
crud. Yeah.
Or leave, whichever one you choose. So yeah. But I had another tip I was going to say. I guess it's more for the lower 48 people that are always here about the vendors. A lot of the vendors circulate around to all the cons. If you go to your local one or something like that, a lot of them circle around, and if you are hurting for space on your luggage or something like that, you might not want to purchase
Well, some of them
everything.
offer to ship things, right?
Yeah, and the Rio has a UPS
Yeah.
right
Like the
there
little
at the
UPS store.
convention.
Yeah.
Yeah, but how much does that cost?
Yeah.
It costs.
True.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
I mean, I
Yeah.
think my rule was like, if I can't bring it home with me, then I'm probably not going to buy it. So
Yeah.
Because I mean, that's ultimately when I went to the 50th. They had the only thing that was specialty was the Novos, because the Novos doesn't go to like the smaller conventions. Like we have
Yeah.
a strictly Star Trek convention here in Denver, but they don't go to that one. But they don't go to Denver either. But they go to Salt Lake Cities.
Yeah.
So yeah, so the Novos was a specialty one. The Star Trek makeup from Mac was another one that we actually bought a lot from. So not for me, my wife. But and then of course your normal creation store where they have all the specialty T-shirts and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, there are going to be some of them that are going to be there that are specifically just go to Star Trek Las Vegas. But then there are some like the bigger ones like sell patches or something like that. or certain kind of arts that are at all of them. Because I've seen a few of them at the same.
Have you seen
cons
fan
every year.
sets at all of them? They go to all of them, or just certain ones?
There is a guy. He sells T-shirts, and oh man, I saw him at Starfest, and then I also saw him at Denver, and I saw him at Salt Lake City 2 years before. And him and I were talking about how he does the circuit. But yeah, like I saw him at Vegas too, and funny enough, because yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, just
Awesome.
FYI.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, let me hear your final thoughts about attending conventions and Star Trek Las Vegas. Richard, let's start with you.
All right. So, as I told you, lots of experience here. One of the things that I really wished I'd have known going into Star Trek Las Vegas was that, I'm a very approachable person, and I also approach people, quite often, especially if I recognize them. But like, one of the things is that, when you guys, if this is your first time, soak it in. Definitely try not to fan out, which I know that's kind of hard to do.
Yes,
but
it is.
Try not to fan out. And just enjoy it. Definitely enjoy being there in the moment of being at a Star Trek convention and whatnot. It gets very crowded, so if you're claustrophobic, then try to ease back or whatnot. But this is a great experience, and for me, for the 2 days, it was a lot to handle. It was the first time I ever had a strictly major convention for Star Trek, and I thought I was be able to handle it with because like I said, we have a Star Trek convention here in Denver that's called Starfest, and it has a lot there too, but not nearly enough like this one is. So enjoy yourself and have fun.
Justin?
Yeah, so of course I've only been once, but I guess what I would say is I try not to have like preconceived notions of all the things you're going to do. There's only time for certain things. Just be there to have fun, be in a great atmosphere where there are lots of other Star Trek fans, and just enjoy it. There will be future years to do other things that you miss out on doing. And also, if you are going, hopefully Amy and I will meet you there and we'll talk, not just through this podcast, but in person. So I always look forward to that as well. Had some experience, talking to listeners last year, and it's wonderful. I mean, I think it's a great experience. You do need to pace yourself and be prepared, but I think it's a lot of fun. And if you are going, you'll get a lot of great things out of it.
Yeah, I agree. I do hope that you get involved and meet some people, not just the actors, but, some of the fans who are there. I mean, everyone is there for the same reason. Mm-hmm. So that's what gives it this amazing feel. And because I live here in Las Vegas, the entire strip is just filled with Trekkies, and it makes my heart so happy. I mean, you can go out and, you see the blue shirt and the red shirt, and you're just like, oh my gosh, there's Star Treks. And the hotel staff and people, who are there, who work on the strip, every time they're like, we love it when you guys come. And, we are a nice group of people. And so don't be afraid to, go up and approach and say, hey, and start talking Star Trek, because everyone is just so nice there. It really is our little Risa, wouldn't you say? Just a nice place to be.
Let's not set a certain expectation that's like Risa, okay?
Oh, well.
But it is a great place to talk about Star Trek. Let's not have certain...
Well, I mean,
notions.
A vacation place.
Okay, vacation. Sorry, I was thinking about,
place,
Riker telling Picard to pick up a Horgon. So
there are people carrying around Horgons.
I know there are.
And let's hope it's not that guy that was just in a swimsuit, like the 50th. Do you remember that guy?
Yes, they are my good friends now.
Oh gosh,
love it. Him and his wife. Yeah, and she has the Vosh. They are the ones who cosplay every day. So, anyways. So I really do enjoy Star Trek Las Vegas. It is my only convention that I've been to. I've never been to a Comic-Con or anything. And in part because like I love Star Trek so much. So this is a really good place. There's so much to do. You don't have to do any of it. You can try and do it all. Like it's up to you and what you want to do. And again, please reach out to us. We'd love to see you at Star Trek Las Vegas. All right, Justin, tell us about next week's episode.
Well, you might remember a few months ago that we did an episode on lost episodes of The Next Generation. So we are bringing that back for part 2. We're going to talk 2 more stories that may be weird or great or who knows. You never know what to expect, but it's kind of like these lost concepts for TNG episodes, and we're going to continue that next week. And also, I'm going to be putting out something in the Babel Conference, our listeners group on Facebook, about one of the titles, and you can guess what that thing is about, and I'll also be doing that on Twitter. So that's all also fun to try to figure out from the title what it is. So looking forward to that next week.
Very good. Well, it's been so much fun talking about Star Trek Las Vegas, but that isn't the only thing we've been talking about here on the network. Here's what you might have missed elsewhere on Trek FM.
Previously on Trek.fm, Meta Treks.
You can see the Gene Roddenberry playing with the idea of what we could become given our full potential, and the aliens that have achieved that looking down and kind of criticizing or examining or evaluating humanity from a moral standpoint, almost like Q does in putting humanity on trial. There's a sense in which humanity is being judged by these morally superior aliens that are genuinely pacifists.
Or in the case of Q, genuinely narcissistic.
Warp 5.
There's 89 Suliban plus Archer and Mayweather, and now Reed. And nobody notices there's an extra body because they don't have jumpsuits, so he doesn't have a number or anything.
And probably all Suliban look alike to them.
Of course they do. Mm-hmm. That's what we're getting at here, right? They're all identical. I guess there's a boy version and a girl version, and that's it.
Literary Treks.
Well, when I was watching the show, the thing I saw when I was reading people's commentary about the show and, what people's impressions of his character were, I was seeing a lot of people who suffered like kind of social anxiety and kind of like, issues about their sort of like their sense of self. And they were saying that they identified really strongly with the idea that Saru is this guy who's kind of like, he's being pulled in 2 different directions. He has a very strong ego, but he wants to be liked. He wants to be an outgoing character, but he's also quite introverted. And there were a lot of people who had that experience in their lives saying, this character really speaks to me because I see a lot of myself in them.
The 602 Club.
One of the things that really caught me in the movie was this whole idea of the family dynamics that we get. And I was fascinated with this because a lot of Spielberg's early movies are about families, but in many ways through the lens of like divorce or possible divorce. And Deneuve said that in the interview for the extras, the director of Arrival and Blade Runner 2049, he was talking about how that really struck a chord with him because one of the biggest fears for kids' life in the 70s was, parents splitting up, and divorce was on the rise. And so one of the scariest things that could happen to you would be to have your parents split up.
And that's what else is happening on Trek.fm.
Check out all these shows and join the conversation about your favorite corner of the Star Trek universe and beyond. You'll find us wherever you get your podcasts. If you're an Apple user, be sure to hit the subscribe button in Apple Podcasts on iPhone, iPad, or Apple TV, or the desktop iTunes app to get the latest episodes as soon as they are published. And please leave us a star rating and written review. That helps others to find the show.
If you're not an Apple user, we've got you covered as well. You can find our shows on Google Play Music, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spreaker, SoundCloud, Windows Phone, and most third-party apps, and you can stream and download the MP3 file from our website or grab the RSS link.
We'd love to hear your thoughts on today's show, and there are many ways for you to do that. The best place to join in the larger conversation is the Babel Conference, our listeners group on Facebook. Just type Babel, B-A-B-E-L, into the search field on Facebook, and it should come right up.
If you'd like to send us an email, you can use the form on our website at trek.fm/contact. Choose to send to a show and select Earl Grey. That will come right to us, and we might read your email on the show, just as we did with a listener email today. You can also find the network on Twitter at TrekFM and on Facebook at facebook.com/TrekFM. So, Amy, where can people contact you when you're not trying to convince everyone that you know to come to STLV?
Well, Chris Littlefield, I'm still working on you. Just a shout out. You can find me here on the network. I host The Edge, which is our dedicated podcast to Star Trek Discovery with Patrick Devlin. I am on Twitter at Miss Amy Nelson, and I am watching Deep Space Nine. I'm in season 3, trying to get that finished before STLV, but we'll see how far I get.
You've at least got to get to season 4 where we first see Worf on DS9 before Star Trek Las Vegas.
I'm about... Well, I don't think I'm halfway, but I'm getting there.
Okay,
I'm working my
there.
way through.
That's good.
Yep. And, but my favorite place is on the Babel Conference. Richard, where can people contact you when you're not participating in a panel about Worf's Batleth technique?
Where probably in the no, just kidding. Well, you guys can find me on Facebook. I pop in here and there on the Babel Conference where I talk nothing but trash about Wesley Crusher. And then
you didn't this episode.
That's true. Oh, darn it! All right, well, I just mentioned it. There you go.
There you go.
Darn. But and also I am on Twitter. My handle is xransom. So, Justin, where can people contact you when you're not partying at Star Trek conventions?
Well, I don't want to raise the expectations too much. I'm not much of a partier, but, we'll see what happens.
You will after those James T. Kirks.
Well, didn't they just come out with a James T. Kirk, whiskey or something like that? Did I see that?
Yeah, I saw that.
I bought 3 of them already.
Oh, my gosh.
I ain't messing around.
Is there going to be a Picard tea flavored alcoholic drink? I don't know.
There is actually to be serious for a second. There is a plan that they're going to bring out one for each major character. Maybe I don't know. I heard that as a rumor in a group,
That's cool.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Okay, well, you can find me on Twitter. I'm at TrekFan4747, where I tweet about nothing but Star Trek. Something we haven't mentioned on this show yet is that there will be new Star Trek series coming, and there's some rumors that we're going to get Patrick Stewart as Jean-Luc Picard. If that happens, you will hear my screams and shouts of joy throughout Twitter and everywhere else that you possibly can. So anyway, so you can find me on Twitter at TrekFan4747. And you can find me hanging around the Babel Conference on Facebook.
If you'd like to help us keep all our shows coming to you each week, you can become a patron of the network on Patreon. Visit patreon.com/TrekFM. That's patreon.com/TrekFM to get all the details. Perks include early access to episodes, exclusive content, producer credits, and more available through our special patrons website, Patron Zone. It requires a great deal of money to produce, host, and distribute these shows each month. We really appreciate any support you can give us and hope you'll join the team. Again, you can find all the details at patreon.com/TrekFM.
We'd like to take this opportunity to recognize our current associate producers, Norman Lau, Justin Ozer, Michael Huter, and Thomas Appel. Thank you for supporting Trek FM and Earl Grey.
So join us next time for another cup of Earl Grey.
How did you convince me to get on this Ferris wheel?
There you go. Here's a parachute, Justin.
Great joy and gratitude. See you there.